Introducing the 2022 Indian Chief. In 1921, Indian Motorcycle unveiled the iconic Indian Chief. It was one of the most historic and influential motorcycles of all time. And now, in celebration of 100 years, America's first motorcycle company is unleashing the all-new Indian Chief models for 2022. They combine iconic American V-twin style with a very modern performance and technology lean. Indian Motorcycle designed the new Chief with a simplistic and mechanical aesthetic. It pays homage to the glory days of American motorcycling. This bike is lean, aggressive, and it just begs to be ridden. The 2022 Chief is powered by the Thunderstroke 111 motor in a steel tubular frame, offering a new old-school look and a whole lot of feel. The 2022 Chief. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Tab Performance Studios. I'm Curtis Sawyer, and this is Indian Rider Radio with our reveal of the 2022 Indian Chief models. Guys, we are looking at something that is really incredible, and that video that I just showed you didn't really do it a whole lot of justice, so we're going to go a little deeper and show you a little more throughout the morning. But suffice it to say, Indian Motorcycle has now bridged all of the gaps that might have been in their lineup with a motorcycle that is truly an American classic. And that's why I said earlier, I think we may see a monumental kind of historic moment here with the Indian Chief re-release. It's a celebration of 100 years for the model, but it's also something that celebrates where Indian Motorcycle plans on going in the future. And we're going to talk about that throughout the morning. You guys are welcome to drop in with your comments. We'll talk about the bike. We'll talk about a variety of different things around them. I'll try to give you as much information as I can. Honestly, I got most of this stuff late yesterday afternoon. And although I had an opportunity to go through some of the photos and a lot of the basic details, some of the more intricate things are still a little out there. But as you probably have already heard, we had a lot of speculation about what this bike was going to be. Was it going to be the Power Plus? Was it going to be something else? Well, let me start by showing you. This is your base model Indian Scout, or excuse me, Indian Chief. Boy, there you go. But the proof of the pudding here is that they have finally found a way to create a kind of an iconic American motorcycle that appeals to a broad number of people. And really, as we go back, let me take a look at this. Indian has now released this information. They said basically it's all based on a timeless, simplistic steel tube frame powered by Indian Motorcycle's powerful Thunderstroke motor. It's the 111 in the standard models. Now, we're going to talk more about that too. There's the Indian Chief, and it comes in three colors like this. Let me set this up for you so you can see these a little better. It comes in a smoke white. Again, it's got a 19-inch front wheel. We'll talk more about that here in a moment. Also comes in this color here. All right. Then it also comes in what's called a bobber version. So this is a little different. You've got a heavier front wheel. You've got spokes, and also a little different aesthetic with a higher, taller, handlebar and mount. It's just a whole variety of things that make this bike a little bit different too. It comes in multiple colors. There's your front wheel setup. Okay. And that exterior rear suspension, steel tubular frame, the 111 motor in this particular model. And then you have what they call the Super Chief. Now, this too is incredible because this fits another gap. Intermediate size with a low seat height, about 26 inches, but set up to travel with. It comes with the windscreen, the Pathfinder LED headlamp, and a 2-up setup. It's an outstanding arrangement right here. Now, look at this. This is just iconic as well. The 2-into-1-into-2 exhaust with both black and chrome accents on the bike. Just absolutely amazing. Bobbed tail and the whole works. There now, we take it to a next level. Now, this bike is the Super Chief Limited. It comes with the Pathfinder LED headlamp, the tinted windscreen, chromed out 116 motor, backrest, and some other accessories that are shown here on this bike. But this now is another one of those bikes that fills a very specific gap in what many of us saw in the Indian Motorcycle lineup. Again, very good looking setup, very simplistic with a wider bar that allows for more comfort and travel, and then a perfect, ideal 2-up setup for most riders. Also can come with heated grips and the secondary lamps. And then there's this, and we are going to probably talk in depth about this with Brandon Kramer, who is the Senior Product Development Director with Indian Motorcycle. He's going to be on the show this week on the podcast, and we're going to talk with him exclusively about how some of this technology is put together. This is a 4-inch round ride command screen that is now incorporated into the Dark Horse and the limited versions of this motorcycle. Absolutely incredible, and you've got it builds in and fits into the whole look of the motorcycle, in addition to a variety of other things we're gonna go over shortly. So there it is, that's the big treat. That also, by the way, is the base model or the Indian Chief Dark Horse, and just one of the color choices that it has to offer. So let's go now and take a look a little more in depthly and see what you guys wanna know, and maybe we'll just answer questions as we go along. First things first, that display is a game changer. That is according to Slim56, indeed it is. Isn't that something else? I mean, wonderful, right? Flavio says that that's a sweet display. Now, we're going to go back and look at that, but holy cow, we are talking about a motorcycle now in three separate categories that will meet three separate riders and a variety of those besides at price points that are realistic. It's really something else. So, I mean, when you talk about innovation, we all wanted to think, and we talked about it at length in our other show, and that was that we really thought that this would be another extension of the Power Plus platform. And the more you think about that, well, yeah, that would have been a great idea, and maybe in some other configuration. But for this motorcycle, a steel tubular frame, how classically American V twin, right? The Thunderstroke 111, how classically American V twin. And then you go one step further, the Bob fender, the different look in the front, and then still incorporate tech like ride modes, cruise control, and a variety of other things. You're hitting it out of the park. So let me share with you some of what Indian shared with me. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my photos here for just a moment and back up here a little bit, show you what we got. But I wanted to go back into this here, and we'll do that in just a moment. But let's page through the screen here. And I want to get you back to that. Now, this is the bobber version. Okay. It is absolutely stunning. Look how simplistic and yet muscular it looks. Look how just smooth those lines are. Dimensions compared to the Scout. Chuck, I'm going to get to this. Let's do this. I'm going to show Chuck's comment here. What are the dimensions compared to the Scout? This bike has a 64-inch wheelbase. The seat height averages at 26 inches. The bike weighs approximately 670 pounds. The Indian Chief lineup also inspires a lot of confidence for riders because ergonomically, you're going to have a variety of options as well. Okay. With this, as far as ergonomics, you have not just a forward control setup, but also a standard control, kind of mid control setup on the standard version of this. So let's go back and look at that. Chief's conventional 46 millimeter front forks. They have 5.2 inches of travel, 28.5-degree lean angles. 28.5-degree lean angles. Not bad. And comfortable ergos. Very capable machine for most technical kind of riding. And basically, what you've got here is the Chief Bobber, and the Super Chief all now are powered by the 111. The Dark Horses and the Limited will feature the 116. What do we got here? Another comment. If I'm a new rider buyer thinking I'd skip over the Scout and jump directly to the Chief, well, some guys might. But again, the Scout offers a different technology level, Randall. There is liquid cooling and some other things that really appeal to Scout riders, not to mention the steering geometry and some other frame configurations. So now, here's the other point, right? At 670 pounds, it's going to feel real good. And Blair, you got an even better point, is that this motorcycle, in its Dark Horse or Limited configuration, will feature 120 foot-pounds of torque from a 116 motor. Now, I think that's going to be a little crazy, don't you? I think it's going to be just amazing. So let's go back and take a look at a couple of other photos here I got for you. I wanted to show you the Dark Horse version of this. Okay. And I believe it's actually, I think, well, let's go back to this. So this is the base model in Thunder Black. Okay. Thunder Black Laws. And what really sets this apart is it's a simplistic bike, a little more flat with the handlebar, standard analog gauge, but still a ton of other options there. If you wanted to, yeah, fine. Let's see, what do we have here? Blank canvas. That's the word we were looking for. Larry Marshall with the V Twin blog. This really is the customizer's motorcycle, and it is customizable on a million different levels. On each of these levels, it offers itself another opportunity. What's the tank size? Those are 4-gallon tanks. That is not the same size as the Springfield, Ed. These are 4-gallon fuel tanks, and they are set up on a frame. I'm going to see if I can get a better picture of the frame up here for you, and I'll see if I can do that. And while I'm doing that, if you have questions or anything you want to drop in here, please do. Heavier than I thought. Yeah, it's 670 pounds. You're talking about a fairly substantial motorcycle, but again, you're pumping the Thunderstroke 111 in there and the 116. The frame is fairly, to satisfy modern riders, you really do have to have a very rigid frame and a good suspension system. And the only way you can do that is to add a little weight in some cases. Okay. Other questions? What do you think, you guys? What's your opinion? So far, so good. Uh, who has the popcorn? Look like the Scout, but no, it's going to feel like one. This is a good comment from Joey. I want to share this one. It may kind of look like a Scout, but there is no way it's going to feel like it. Absolutely true. Again, we're talking about a 675-pound motorcycle that is powered by the 111. It's going to be crazy. So let me share a little bit more about some of the details here. Now, this comes from their press release. And as I mentioned, we are going to have a very special interview with Brandon Kramer, who is a senior product director for Indian Motorcycle, who headed up this project. He is going to talk with us at length on Indian Rider Radio, the podcast. We'll have that for you this weekend. And follow me for details on that. I may create a special Saturday edition of the show so that we can feature that interview on its, in its entirety. Okay. But let me share some of the other things it's got here based on the press release. The Chief Dark Horse, the Chief Bomber Dark Horse, and the Super Chief Limited are all being powered. They are all premium levels, and that will be the 116 engine. ABS will be standard. Premium finishes set the bike apart. Obviously, lots of different the color choices. The Chief and the Chief Bomber Dark Horse models will also have a little more of the gloss and the chrome black finishes. Super Chief Limited, premium chrome finishes across the board. It is really nice. Additionally, each of the models will deliver a very premium experience when you're talking about Dark Horse or Limited. It's got the very first, industry first, 4-inch round display with Ride Command. It is an industry first. This is groundbreaking technology. Riders can operate Ride Command system through the grip controls or via a digital IPS touchscreen display. Then riders can cycle through multiple interfaces, 2 different gauge configurations, bike and ride information, turn-by-turn navigation, connected services with weather and traffic overlays. And if you're using a wireless helmet communicator, riders can now control the music within the Ride Command system once the phone is paired with the Bluetooth or USB setup. Then riders can also access phone information, including recent calls and all that kind of stuff, like you can do with Ride Command everywhere else. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Wait, not this time. Can I install the gauge on my Sport? It doesn't have ride modes, Chuck Hansen. Yes, it does. Again, the ride modes are available in all levels of these, whether it be the basic Indian Chief all the way on up. What about a Lloyd's 126? You want to drop one of those bad boys in that thing? This is my friend Ridingfish out on the road this morning. And the point, and here's another comment. The gauge really is unbelievable. Once you see it, you're not gonna believe it because it's so well incorporated into the aesthetic of the motorcycle that it hides in plain sight. And so many of the other things are there as well. Yeah, wait, it has GPS. It does. Jeremy, indeed have GPS. What do we have here? This is from Marcel. Looks like they hit the gap for those who thought the Scout was too small, but the Chief Chieftain was too bulky. Exactly. And here's, while we're on this subject, let's talk about this a minute. I worked in dealerships for a number of years. One on the floor, the first one I think back in late 16, early 17, when the Scout was really a very popular motorcycle. But I was often asked, what's the next one in the evolution? And when you would show somebody the Chief, again, styling wise, size wise, steering geometry, and a variety of other things, maybe just the bulk and the look of the bike wasn't the next natural step as far as many of these customers were concerned. And with so much popularity in other brands that are based around these kinds of, I want to say, simplistic configurations, steel tube frames, V-twin motors, this really answers a call that has existed for a while and now has done it in spades, because we're not talking about just one bike that fills a gap. We're talking about 3 in essence, or 6 different models. Realize what we got here, guys. 6 different models and the incorporation of accessories and more, all in one place. Okay, so let's get it. Brad, Brad wants a limited. What do you got here, Wet? That's where I'm sitting right now, looking at the price for the touring at the Chief Limited versus the Chieftain. I obviously may be swayed to the Chieftain though. Well, these bikes, let's take a look at this. The Chief and the Chief Dark Horse. Okay, the Chief and Chief Dark Horse models feature the stripped down kind of mechanical styling, highlighted with the drag bars, a 19-inch cast aluminum wheel. They're a mid-mount foot control slim headlight bucket, also a solo bobber seat on them, right? The Indian Chief then starts retail wise 14,499. Yeah, 14,499. It'll be available in black metallic, white smoke, ruby smoke, while the Chief Dark Horse is going to start at around 16,999. Black smoke, aluminia jade smoke, which is a awesome color, and then stealth gray. And I showed you that one just a little while ago. Now, the Chief Bobber and the Chief Bobber Dark Horse, they come with a mini ape hanger handlebar. They're going to be paired with forward front controls, providing a more upright, kind of commanding riding position. Then the Bobber and Dark Horse are going to sit on a 16-inch wire wheel. They're going to add a fork and shock cover so it gives it a little bulkier, heavier look. They'll have a larger headlight bucket in kind of a nacelle. So they kind of harken back to those post World War II, more, conventional V twins where Indian was producing. The Chief Bobber will start at 15,900. Two paint schemes, obviously black metallic and ruby metallic. And then the Chief Bobber Dark Horse going to start around 18,900. And it's going to be available black smoke, titanium, and sagebrush smoke. Here's a great question. Donna Esteban. Miles to the tank you get. Well, D, this is a 4-gallon fuel tank, and a lot of riders will report someplace in the mid to upper 40 miles to the gallon range in most cases with the Thunderstroke, depending on what they've done to it as far as upgrades. So we've got now a bike with over, I would say probably 175, 200-mile range, somewhere in there. I don't know. That's a great price, too. I agree, Jeremy. Absolutely true. So what's your take, guys? All right. What would you think? And Joey hits it. We talked about that before. Does it have cruise control from Slim 56? It does, Slim. It does indeed. So I'm going to go back to my photos here. This again is the one that I think you really need to take a longer, harder look at because, just see. All right, there's your bobber version. Again, that's the 16-inch wire wheel, a little heavier front tire. And by the way, tires on these Pirelli Night Dragons. Yeah. Yeah, we're not messing around with the rubber on them either. Those are all Pirelli Night Dragons. But look at the clean kind of bob look you've got here. Okay. So it's a very unique motorcycle. This is the Super Chief. Now, this is the Super Chief in its basic configuration. But again, windscreen, 2-up configuration, saddlebags, and it's just a very unique, very cool look. And that is the Super Chief Limited. Now, let's talk about this for a minute. If you were looking at something like, I don't know, maybe a Springfield or something like that, it felt a little off to you, or it wasn't quite the styling that you preferred. This one's right there. Now travel is easy. And all right, comfort, the Super Chief and the Super Chief Limited are going to stand apart with a quick release windshield, black leather saddlebags, touring seat, passenger pad, floorboards, and traditional cruiser style handlebars. The Indian Super Chief and Super Chief Limited are going to feature the 16-inch wire wheel, the larger headlight bucket, and the base model, basically, the Indian Super Chief, will start at around 18,499. That'll be in black metallic and pearl white. Super Chief Limited starts at 21,999. That's the one you're looking at right there. Black metallic, black slate metallic, and what this is called is maroon metallic. So just this is how you take a motorcycle and move it forward is you keep your costs and your price points affordable, realistic, and you match up everybody. Here's the one. Randall's got the point that I just talked to another gentleman about the other day. We were talking about this and can't decide which one. I know, all stylish, all offer a million customization levels. And that's the other thing. Think about this, guys. Had this bike come out with the Power Plus motor and say an aluminum frame, we would be right back where we are for all intents and purposes, where we are with the Challenger and the power plant around it and what you do to performance upgrade it. Where the Thunderstroke has proven itself over and over again that it's readily available for upgrade in a variety of ways. It's reliable and low maintenance, even in its air-cooled configuration. And with rear cylinder deactivation and a variety of other things available for these bikes, you cannot possibly go wrong. Now, I'm going to push my magic button over here, get my photos lined up. But again, look at the features on this thing. And this Come on, man. Right? So, again, Ride Command incorporated into the aesthetic of the motorcycle. There it is, the Indian Chief Dark Horse right there. That is one of the different models. Now, there's the Bobber model, and that's the one I guess that spoke to me initially because here it is with a 116, the blacked out features, steel tubular frame, and I want you to look right here in this section right here. Okay, that frame member in that section right there is very reminiscent of what you saw in the 1920s and 40s and a variety of Chief models over the years, including that rail line right there, right into the suspension. So you got something that looks a little post-war America, kind of a bulkier, heavier look. Yeah, and it's just amazing. And Daniel's got a great point over here. He says, "I'm speechless. The exhaust setup is perfect. It is gorgeous, right? A 2-in-1 into 2 header. Come on, guys. This is just amazing that they've taken so many subtle, not over the top, just subtle things that bring this thing all the way around. And well, there's my friends at Rush Racing. Okay. Well, now here's the guys. Okay. All right. There's Kurt Williams popping up here. Let's put him up and see what he's got to say. All right, Kurt. I ride a 2020 Scout Bobber. Love the bike and I'll be keeping it, but I love the same general styling with the features that make it more suited to long range riding. This is one of the things that people were trying to make the best of with the Scout is that it makes a very capable tourer depending on how far you want to go and what you want to do with it. But if it's an all day event out on the road and you want something a little different, this is the way you got to go. This is really the way you got to go. And, the rake angle on these, around 28 and a half. So they have increased the steering rake and angle a little bit. First, part of that, it creates the aesthetic. We have become very familiar as V-twin American V-twin buyers as to what the bike is supposed to look like and what it is supposed to do. And so that being said, I think that this is one of those opportunities for Indian to change the aesthetic a little bit. But with the way this thing is configured, are just they're incredible. And what do we have here? This B Twin blog, Larry Marshall, my guy who has a little feature on our show every week. All these images are a bear to upload to a website. I'm getting there. 45. Okay, so Larry's going to have all this information at the vtwinblog.com if you want to see the photos in a little more detail. I'm going to play the video for you, I think, one more time, but I really want to just answer your questions and see what I can do for you here. What do we have here? Lee Keller. And Lee Keller. Now, Lee is busy organizing the Southeast Iron Butt Tour, and there's over a dozen IMRG chapters all getting together with this, so you might want to check that out. Talk to Lee about it online. Find him on Facebook. The instruments are mind-boggling, so much fit into a small gauge effectively. It is absolutely amazing that they have been able to go to the levels they have with this motorcycle and the technology in it. I mean, it just blows my mind. And let's go back and kind of highlight some more of the features that you'll find here. Okay. Now, Chief Riders are going to have access to get this ready. Over 80 different accessories. Parts specifically designed for the Chief models, as well as several existing pieces now that are adaptive from the Thunderstroke motor. See, again, keep the price point down. Take a few things out of the parts bin, add them to a new foundation, and suddenly you can create this kind of a motorcycle. And it really does bridge the gap. And my friend Ridingfish would ask this question: wheelie control? I don't think it has wheelie mitigation, but I'm going to look into it for you. And only you would ask that, by the way. And it is, yes. The touchscreen is glove friendly, just like the other one. Yep. And you also have a set of control systems on the grip. So again, once you get adapted to that, I think that's probably going to be your better opportunity. You're talking about a 4-inch touchscreen that's in a circle, and that's great. But again, at speed, not always the easiest thing to do. Kurt Williams is back. Wish there were water cooled. So needed in South Texas. Well, again, one of the reasons that this bike is going to be in pretty good shape is we're not hauling the weight around that we're hauling or the loads we're holding and rolling with the Thunderstroke in the past. Okay. 670, 680 pound motorcycle, let's say, fully wet, ready to ride, super cheap with all the goodies. Even with a second person on there, you're still 300 pounds roughly less than some of the other original models. So you peel off 300 pounds, put in 108 foot-pounds of torque, and doing it in a lighter setup. I think you're going to see that bike will run cooler. I also think with recylinder deactivation and some of the other features, it's not going to be an issue. I see where you're going with that and why a lot of us speculated that the Power Plus would be a better choice, but I really think that this is the one that kicks it and hits it right out of the park. I really do. It's just amazing, again, to me, that you can incorporate this kind of technology in something so inventive on a bike that covers so many different platforms. The bike is going to appeal to so many different audiences and so many different riders. And that is such a classic, iconic American look. It just really is. It was always part of India's history, and they're reliving it now. For a bike, this particular one, that particular model, the Super Chief Limited, 21 grand. Come on. Beautifully done, well executed. The Super Chief there. Now that's what I really like too. The double lace spoke wheel, the Pirelli Night Dragon tires, the chop fender, very cool look. And again, so many of you already said it, but this is what Indian likes to do. They want to take the conventional, put a new spin on it, and then open it up so you and I can create our own bikes. And they have done this in spades with this lineup. It is absolutely amazing. Now, the bobber here, just beautiful. But going back to the basic Indian Chief, it is about as cool as they get. Just about as cool as they get. It's just, I think, one more time, guys, and that's why I say earlier, we may have seen something very monumental here. Price point is dead on. Styling, I think, is just amazing. The use of the steel tubular frame, a lot of existing components, things like the Thunderstroke, and a variety of other stuff, give the bike an old school feel that appeals to new riders. A lot of the new riders, if you're talking to people in the industry, they try to define this grouping as what they call neo retro. Now, that's fancy advertising terminology for what you or I would call the new old school. Okay, steel tube frames, V twin air cooled engines. Basic setups that just lend themselves to doing whatever you want to do. Blank canvas approach, if you will. Well, we always like our blank canvas with a little trim on it here and there, and I think they've really done it. Starting as low as 14.5, call it, to 21, and there's no holes in the lineup anymore. Not even a little bit. Nothing is missing now. And Indy could reach out to a group of riders that they have not had the opportunity to reach out to, and they can appeal to guys like me. Now, I've been around motorcycling my entire life, and I've followed motorcycles religiously since I was a kid. And very few have been benchmark bikes. This Kawasaki Z1903, benchmark motorcycle. The Yamaha VMAX, a benchmark motorcycle. The Yamaha FJ1200, benchmark motorcycle. Honda V65 Magna, benchmark motorcycle. The Ninja series, the Gixxer series, all kind of benchmarks. But no one has said, we are going to take a stand like this. And we're not going to give you one. We're not going to give you two. We're going to lay out three distinctive models based off the same platform and foundation. And we're going to reach everybody that was not in our fold before. In addition to appealing to a young hip rider who would see this as a blank canvas and a ton of fun with that cool, aggressive, streetwise look that it has. And it would also appeal to guys like us who are much more traditional. And we are considered to be their heritage buyer. Just a little while ago, I was making noise about how maybe Indian had forgotten us. That since about 2018, it seemed like the heritage guy, and I kind of straddle the line. I like it a little edgier than a lot of guys my age. But I thought that maybe they were kind of drifting away from us and looking more entirely at the newer rider. This proves that they're not, because it is classic American styling that we're familiar with, that perhaps we've seen some of these styling cues in other places, but it's familiar, comfortable, and reliable to us. So it appeals. For the new guy, it's the new old school. For us, it's just something that is a new spin on what we were already familiar with. So I don't see how they're going to miss here. This is just absolutely incredible. I'm going to look down here at some new comments. What do we have here? Well, I guess nothing. Trust me, I'm working. Oh. Mike, listen. Are all 6 models are bobtails? Yeah, all 6 are, and there will be, I think, if you look around, this is one of those bikes too that will lend itself to a little bit of the cosmetic and aesthetic type changes up, so watch for those to show up, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see what else we got here. This is similar to the relaunch back in 14. Yes, very much, because then, Larry, and you make a great point, then they kind of put their flag in the ground and said, "We are gonna reach out first to that a guy who loves Indian motorcycle. He knows the history. He likes the lines. He likes the leather. He likes all of those things that are iconically and symbolically Indian motorcycles." And Polaris hit the nail on the head that time. Here, they're reaching out to that customer who might have really loved things like the Scout or the FTR, but just couldn't find a way to make them work in how they expected to use their bike. And some people, let's face it, will walk a little more slowly into new developments. They take a little while to get accustomed to them. And there is a huge market segment out there now who cannot get enough when it comes to customization. All of this lends itself to it wonderfully. They mentioned in their information over 80 accessories. Come on, man. Who comes out with a motorcycle right out of the box and can do that for you? You know what I'm saying? It's just absolutely amazing. So, uh, oh, here we go. Paul's got a good point. Can you imagine cams in a high flow air take and tune, power to weight ratios? Yeah, like I've told a million people in showrooms over the years, I can't do power to weight ratio math in my head, but 670 pounds and roughly 120 foot-pounds of torque. Yeah, that's going to be fun. All right. So, again, for those of us that want to get out there and get with it, it's going to do that. For those of us who want that cool, old school, edgier kind of look, boom, you got that. You want to travel with it, you want to two up with it, you can, and it lends itself to any version. It just screams to be ridden. So one more time, I want to play that little video I created for you. It's not really something super special, but it does show you some other photos and maybe give you a little idea what everything is and what you're looking at. Here you go. Introducing the 2022 Indian Chief. In 1921, Indian Motorcycle unveiled the iconic Indian Chief. It was one of the most historic and influential motorcycles of all time. And now, in celebration of 100 years, America's first motorcycle company is unleashing the all-new Indian Chief models for 2022. They combine iconic American V-twin style with a very modern performance and technology lean. Indian Motorcycle designed the new Chief with a simplistic and mechanical aesthetic. It pays homage to the glory days of American motorcycling. This bike is lean, aggressive, and it just begs to be ridden. The 2022 Chief is powered by the Thunderstroke 111 motor in a steel tubular frame, offering a new old school look and a whole lot of feel. The 2022 Chief.
I'm in Bison Thunder here in St. Paul. They want to sell you a bike and help you build a bike. Yeah. Why wait till all the parts are on back order?
We have special things going on that we put in our dealership in Minnesota. We're signing people out and they're not even paying for their bike for up to 4 months.
Buy them now.
Yep. No Worries Promise, which is lifetime powertrain. First 2 years maintenance and wear items are covered on all new bikes, the heavyweight.
Bison Thunder here in St. Paul. Also have one in Rogers. All right. So that's where they are. Come to Bison Thunder, St. Paul. Home of the No Worries Promise.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
And thanks for hanging out with us this morning. My name is Curtis Sawyer. I'm with Indian Rider Radio, and this is the Tab Performance Studios. And the guy you saw in that promo with me is my friend Ridingfish. And Ridingfish is a YouTuber like none other. Go to his YouTube channel if you haven't, or if you're watching there, hit subscribe, like, notifications, smash buttons, do whatever it is you're supposed to do in the new lingo, and make sure that you follow Ridingfish. Simple as that. Guys, I want to hear your take now. I mean, a lot of I could opine on this motorcycle for a long time if you want me to, but I'm really interested in finding out what you guys are thinking. And did they use Brembo or factory as one? Okay, there's a good question, and it looks to me like these are factory setups. I would have to go back and look, but I would suspect these are factory setups. And Brian Looney, huge smile factor. The test ride will give you a buyer's grin. If you're not ready to buy, better wipe that grin off your face before the salesman sees you again. Blair, I said that a million times. I would send guys out on test rides. I would turn to my fellow salespeople and I would look at them and say, when he comes back here grinning, I'm going to sell a motorcycle. I did. So now you know. There you go. Um, and Hog Tag Collar, Mark Tallarico asking Pirellis on them or Dunlaps. These are Pirelli Nighthawks, or Night something. I missed the name. But they're that kind of motorcycle tire that you've been looking for on these because it's not too expensive, wears well, decent grip. And the better part about it is they're kind of an all-around tire. They work in all kinds of conditions. So if you're one of those guys that rides in the summer or in the fall or in colder or warmer weather, you're going to enjoy the setup on these. So it's going to be really an incredible motorcycle and a regular thing. I want to take a few more minutes. We still got quite a few people hanging out with this. So if you do have questions, now is the time. If there's something you'd like to talk more about this bike, I'm happy to do it. Get my computer lined up here again, and I will get some more information for you. So let me share to you with what they were talking about when they opened this up and what Indian shared with me in the press release that you'll see here throughout the internet here in just a little while. But in 1921, they say the Indian motorcycle unveiled the iconic Indian Chief. Now it was and still is, for that matter, when you talk to collectors, one of the most game changers in terms of motorcycles in the industry at the time. The industry was only a couple of decades old, and so to impress customers took a little bit, and now they really have done that in that regard. I think that's really a big move on their part. And so that is huge, and it is very reminiscent. It's got all the throwback characteristics that we would have loved, and that again bring out that new retro feel. But it also does incorporate the kind of technology that riders today do demand, because we're doing. What's this? What's this? Yeah, we're going to go live Friday, Riding Fish. Couple of things. Let me highlight that Indian Rider Radio After Hours. We will go live. We'll talk a lot more about this whole program and what's going on with it, and we'll share a lot with you. We will have some special guests join us. But between then and now, the podcast is going to drop this week, and I have a exclusive interview with the senior product development guy, the director of this project. His name is Brandon Kramer with Indian Motorcycle. Now, it's going to be interesting, and I really can't wait to talk to him. And I'm going to answer your question there too about Daytona demo rides. I don't know that to be fact. Okay. They say that the bike should be able to drop into dealerships by April. So if that's the case, I would suspect we might see one of these in Daytona or two. And if it were me, I know if I were one of the guys at Indian Motorcycle, I'd want to make sure I had one. So what do we got here? Carlos got it. I can tell you why Indian did this. It's for guys like me, Harley riders wanting a mid-sized bike. Something like a Street Bob or a Fat Bob. I don't want a Scout. It's too small. The Chieftain was just too big and bulky. This is going to appeal to Dyna riders and people who just want a bike with no bells or whistles, a.k.a. riders like me who traditionally ride Harley, but wouldn't mind a different American brand. It's going to happen. There's going to be the comparisons drawn, and Carlo makes a great one. Is that there is a segment of the American V-twin market in terms of riders who have reached whatever level of satisfaction they're going to reach with the other American brand. And I think this one is going to bring them out in droves, because now they have something that they can look at both aesthetically, financially, price point, why all of that, and say, that's a motorcycle I can get my head around. Wait, podcast? What podcast? Brad Nelson is not aware of the Indian Rider Radio podcast. It appears at IndianRiderRadio.com and anywhere you can find podcasts for that matter. And to brag it up just a little bit, we have once again reached into the top 15% of all available podcasts out there. We are one of, if not the most listened to motorcycle podcast anywhere on the dial that I know of. Now, I could be wrong on that. I'm just basing that on the stuff that they send me. Okay. But Indian Rider Radio, is available at our website, indianriderradio.com, and a variety of other places. So check it out. And you can listen on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and at least another half a dozen more. So that is that. All right. Any other questions? Here we go. What do we got down here? We got Kurt. Great looking bike, but I love my 16 Dark Horse. Don't you dare back up, Kurt. You are on a great bike right there. When will the Indian Vision be released? Oh, here we go. That little, I love it. Still want a Challenger though. You know, it's interesting because it would have been really easy. It would have been simple for Indian to say, you know what, we've got the Thunderstroke power plants, we have the FDR power plants, we have the Scout power plant, and now we have the Power Plus, and we should just decide to go this way and be done. You know, we're going to go liquid cooled and we're going to go modern tech, and that's all we're going to be, and that's how we're going to do it. They didn't do that, though. They relied on a motor that has now had ample time to be tested and reliable in the marketplace, and that lends itself to customization. They put that in a context that riders, American V twin riders, are very familiar with. And you know, let's just say it. There are some styling cues there on these bikes that are reminiscent of other models in another lineup. And people will complain about that. But I want you to think about something. Look at the American midsize car. How many of them look damn near identical? They do that because that's what consumers like. That's what we've told the motorcycle industry we like, whether it be young guys, new guys, whatever. Ladies, all of us have told the American motorcycling public this is what we like, or the industry. So to introduce the Power Plus now, as we're just starting to learn about its ECU and its camming and some of the other things that make that incredible motor even better, you could easily say that was the direction. But instead, they wanted to make sure that they reached out to guys like me, again, one more time, and said, hey, here's something you might be interested in. Well, sure, yeah. And again, I'm a different rider. I got done this year selling my Springfield, but it was built to the hilt. You know, it was a 130 horsepower monster. And I like bikes like that every once in a while. And this is one that if you were, let's say it. Here we go. Bets on the first big time custom builder to use the platform on their next build. I got Roland Sands and I got Brian Clock on that. I'm just saying it. Well, what I'm going to point to is there was guys that would gravitate to certain brands of the other American V-twin model, and they would look at those and go, okay, well, I like that. Well, one of those went away completely. It was changed. And some of the other models are still around, but they're kind of getting along in the tooth on the Harley Davidson side. Not so much over here. So I think you're going to see something. Brian Clock is my bet. Okay, well, I was going to go with that too. But I would say Brian or Roland would be your first ones. And who else we got here, dude? Okay. Well, somebody agrees with me. So true, Curtis. But we have to think about it this way. You know, Indian could go a long ways down the road without ever having to look back at, I want to say, the traditional heritage buyer. Okay. They label us in three categories: heritage, rogue, and moto. Moto customers tend to be Scout and FDR guys. Rogue guys tend to be Springfield Dark Horse or Dark Horse models in general. Then, of course, the heritage buyers that are drawn to some of the touring bikes and the heavyweight motorcycles that Indian makes and some of the things that we're accustomed on those. It would be easy to think that, you know, we're going to go over here and fade away into the darkness, you know, still loving up on our air-cooled V-twins, and everybody else was going to run away from us on liquid cooling and different things. But Indian didn't do that. They stayed true to that history of that motorcycle. They made something that appeals on so many levels. It's got this edgy look. It's got this unique street style. It's got all the heritage look and feel that we love as older riders and guys that are a little longer in the tooth like me. And then, of course, it just lends itself to creation. And part of the modern motorcycling movement, I think something you're going to see from your new Indian motorcycle ambassadors is that this neo retro built not bought thing, there will be a middle ground there. And you will be able to buy the bike, but then you'll be able to build it as well. And with 80 accessories out of the box, Indian has done it for you. And the aftermarket, think about this. Now the aftermarket doesn't have as far a trip to make to get to you on your new motorcycle. There can be product out there relatively quickly for this bike because the power plant is one that's been around. You can think about it in one way, Indian's kind of doing you a favor. What do we got here? Seat height, same as a Chief as a Springfield. Foundation's 26 inches on these, and 27 and a half to 28 is as tall as I think it gets. I'd have to go back and look, dude. So is the Ride Command available on all models? Sorry if I asked already. No, Ride Command is available on the Dark Horse and limited models in that 4-inch industry-leading touchscreen, but you do have a variety of other technology stuff that you've gotten accustomed to. For example, cruise control and some of that, and rear cylinder deact and ride modes in the other models as well. Okay, so that's just that one. All right. Oh, I was asked this. The new video is up. I was going to look at that. Indian Motorcycles got their webpage, and their YouTube channel up. And I did look this morning to see if that was up. I heard it was coming. So check that out. That is at the Indian Rider or IndianMotorcycle.com. Guys, hit me up on Facebook. By all means, share all of these things with your friends, pass the show along, and then be sure to join us. Now, Indian Rider Radio, the podcast, is available wherever you find a podcast or at IndianRiderRadio.com. When you drop by there, by all means, look around the website, make yourself at home, and then join us again on Friday nights when we do another live streaming show with Ridingfish and I, both on Facebook and on his YouTube channel. It's Ridingfish, one word. Search it on Facebook or on YouTube. You can't miss it. Like and subscribe, get the notifications, everything you're supposed to do. For me, when you drop by anywhere you find my podcast, please subscribe and download and leave me a review. If you'll do that, it's incredibly helpful and it doesn't hurt. And, then you can follow us and don't have to think about it. And you can listen anywhere when the show is downloaded. So you can listen on the way to work, in the shower, whatever works for you. Dad with a Bike has finally dropped in. Sorry I'm late, boys and girls. I'm wicked excited. I didn't get my 108, but I got that 116, and other shenanigans are super delicious. I would have to agree. Look at this thing. You guys, you have everything you've ever asked for in a V-twin motorcycle. And if you are at all into customization or economy or just wanting something that's a little bit different, but still rings true to that American V-twin style. Again, the guys in Indian Motorcycle and Polaris are not content, basically doing what everybody else has done. Certainly, they are not afraid to use things that work and that you, the American motorcycling public, have told them you want. But by the same token, they're going to make sure that that product does push the brand and the motorcycling industry forward. And I think we've just seen something that is going to make a major, major shift in American motorcycling across the board, whether it be, in just raw sales or in how motorcycles are used, perceived, and being done, because it's just incredible. What do we have here? Christopher David Lawson of Northeast Pennsylvania. I would ship it directly to Lloyd's. He wasn't even going to give me a chance to say anything. What do we got? Southern Rider over here. It's still something to take my money bike for you. Yeah, there you go. I'm loving the Dark Horse version, Lee, and yep, this will be my next purchase. CDL and Napa. Yeah, he's here. My boy. Christopher David Lawson, Northeast Pennsylvania. They're living it out in winter. They're loving it big time, you guys. All right. I don't know what else we want to cover, guys. I don't know what other questions you might have. But I know that now is a great opportunity to jump online, head over to Indian Motorcycle, look at what they've got going on over there with their videos and whatnot. Read some of the updates and the information. Later today, I will update Facebook and Instagram with the press release information and some other photos. And then don't forget, now Friday, we're going to talk about this at length on Indian Rider Radio, the podcast. And I can't stress this enough, guys. Indian Motorcycle and their public relations people have been super great with us. They are helping us out to land Brandon Kramer, who is the Senior Product Development Director with Indian Motorcycle on this project. And to have him here to be able to explain to you in depth what you guys want to know about this motorcycle is vital. So if you have questions that you'd like to pose that guy, this is the guy from Indian Motorcycle. This is the guy. Hit me up, let me know, shoot me an email, message me, whatever it takes. I really do want to make sure that I can express what you guys want to know about the bike to him. By the same token, we're going to talk about its development, how they used, you know, things that exist now and how they're going to move those forward. Again, the Thunderstroke platform, how they came to this. I mean, this is really important because this is an answer to a long asked question around Indian motorcycle is how do we fill the gap? There aren't any now. We have basically 6 brand new models that landed all at once. All right, what do we have here? Oh, Allison's got something. Rocky Wrenches and Rides. Allison Rocky Ha. The videos predominantly displayed ladies riding their own. Looks like Indian take notice of the market. I will tell you, Allison, I think you're gonna find here that the bike not only can be a very easy, very approachable motorcycle for the ladies, but it also offers that bike that kind of fits a little bit of everything. So I think you're going to see it fall into its own category again. I think Indian has found a way to again kind of defy the categories by blending a variety of concepts and ideas into something that all of us understand, all of us recognize, and can appreciate. I think they've really done a great job. All right, what do we have here? Oh, availability. More questions. I'm usually apprehensive for picking something up when it drops. Been a bit with the bugs in the okay, guys. All right. They're all talking amongst themselves over there. So at this point, I want to just make sure that you guys understand that there will be a lot more information available very shortly. I thank you all for dropping by. So much fun having you with me this morning. And I really think I want to hear from you. And if you have not experienced Indian Rider Radio, the podcast, please check it out. Try it out wherever you find your favorite podcasts. We are growing rapidly. We are in part listener supported. So if you get along here and you decide that you like what you see and you want to share it with a friend or you want to take care of us and help us out so that we continue with our content, by all means, check us out on patreon.com, Indian Rider Radio, one word, or visit us at indianriderradio.com. Go to the upper right-hand corner, click the link, and you'll find out more about it. Again, we appreciate our sponsors. We want you to support all of those sponsor partners that have joined us. Lloyd's Garage, Indian Motorcycle Charlotte, Rush Racing Products, Tab Performance, 60 Helmets, Riders Share, Pikes Peak Indian Motorcycle Velcone. So many that have helped us in so many ways. But I want to make sure that you guys support them and realize that does cover a few of the bills. But every once in a while, it's nice to be able to, pay the rest. And to do that, we need a little more support from you guys. So if you like what you see, you want to become a member. For you, we have exclusive content, backdoor stuff, behind the scenes things as well. Check us out, patreon.com and indianriderradio.com. All right. Any other questions? Let me roll down here one more time. Thank you for my presentation. Your presentation of Indian motorcycle products is fantastic. Wow. Thank you, Lee. That's impressive. That is very good. Jeremy tells me I rock. I don't know if that's true. Do you think you might be able to put out a wide tire on the back? James, you're getting way ahead of yourself. But by God, if you want to, you give her hell. Okay. All right. All right. Well, there he is. Lee, call her one more time. I will get back in touch with you. All right. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up here at the top of the hour. We got about 6 more minutes. If you have questions, I want to entertain those. In the meantime, I'm going to bring back the photos of this bike so that we can all, ogle a little bit more and make sure that we see, just how incredible this is. Look at this thing. Again, I'm trying to zoom in here, but it has such a unique look. Even in a configuration that we as American V-twin riders are fairly familiar with, it has an incredibly unique look. And if that doesn't make your heart beat a little bit faster, you need to get your pulse checked. Okay. Yeah, the Pirelli tire there, just a beautiful, beautiful setup. The Bob fender is a nice touch. I like the lines here. This is one of the Dark Horse versions, so it's got the covered rear suspension. But all of that is preload adjustable too, so that's going to make a difference for riders of all sizes. Ladies, you're going to appreciate this because you can set up that suspension if you're, to fit the way you want to ride. And here it comes. Classic weekender, take anywhere, commuter motorcycle, just and that absolutely stunning. Just an amazing bike. Just so many features. And this, I want to say, I'm talking to all of you. I want to get back and check out the video for that as well and look at it some more. But there it is. Isn't that something? Just an amazing, amazing motorcycle. Well, guys, thank you so much for dropping in and seeing us here at Indian Rider Radio. This is going to be a monumental time and something you're going to want to remember. It was 2021 when the 2022 Indian Chief came out, and it did pay homage to the bikes ahead of it and to its history and to the legacy of Indian motorcycle while making a very definitive move towards the forward, towards the future of motorcycling and what it's all about. Guys, I'm going to have to call it for you for a little while. I still got a lot of work today to get you more information and get set up for the show on Friday. Again, 2 shows on Friday and perhaps a very special edition. I'll talk to you more about that. First, Indian Rider Radio, the podcast. It lands Friday mornings. You can check it out early. I usually upload it late Thursday nights. And then Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Ridingfish from YouTube joins me here. Indian Rider Radio After Hours Live. It's our live streaming product that you're always welcome to enjoy. So come on by and hang out. Oh, here was a last minute question. Chris Hunter, single front disc. Yeah. Bike's light and probably very well balanced and very geometrically correct. So one single front disc on a 670-pound bike, even 2 up, not a bad choice. Always good job. All right, guys. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I am Curtis Sawyer in the Tab Performance Studios with Rush Racing and Lloyd's Garage and Indian Motorcycle Charlotte. Join us again next time. Thanks so much for dropping in. We'll see you real soon. And hey, by the way, questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to know, by all means, IndianRiderRadio.com. Shoot me an email or hit me up on social media. I'm going to be happy to be here. We'll see you soon.